sloppy outside of the top 2 teams, maybe top 3. And this time around, like you said, Team Numerics taking wins off even Heroes Hearth. That's a statement. But we'll have to see how these 2 teams do end up facing off. We've got Operative Esports and, of course, Team Numerics.
And for Operative Esports, they're going to be on the left in blue as Trap Queen will be on Dahaka, Shot on an Uberak, Deadly Ice on Greymane. This takes me back to shades of spring 2016, where he first made a name for himself on Greymane. And we've got Legend on Kel'Thuzad, and Stukov going to be played by Imfu's going to round it there on the support.
Okay, so game looks crisp and clear for me. We're going to make sure that it looks good for everyone in chat. Did as much testing as we could, but again, it's not the standard setup. Apologies if there are a few hiccups in the start. Now, looking at the situation here with Dragon Shire, you look at the lane clear. It's obviously very good there for the side of Team Numerics. The rotations will be clean and crisp, but Kel'Thuzad, that's a big part of the story. How is he going to do? How fast can he complete that quest?
It's kind of hit or miss, and you look at the team on the other side, and that's one good way to get your Blight stacks up really quick, as they hit 2 targets with your chains. You obviously want to try and combo that with your W. We'll see if they can manage to do that. But the way these teams are going to be split, we're not going to be 100% sure how that goes. There's one chain rooted. Easy Blight stacks so far, Jake.
Yeah, so far a nice quick start for Legend. He's already up to 4 out of 30 for those Blight stacks, and that will definitely be good for him if he can keep that kind of tempo working towards those stacks.
Shot under a little bit of pressure there. Going to go ahead and burrow charge under. Ven's going to miss his Hungarian Arrow, but look for him to stack that up. He's gone into the Hungarian Arrow build, looking for that single target burst damage and trying to take advantage of Stukov's lack of burst heals, except for every 16 seconds. You see that go down, you see that bio kill switch happen, you pull the trigger there as Vala, repeating arrow most likely at 7, you try and take advantage of that window.
Definitely something that we've seen a lot more of as of late. Just pulling FASD a little bit further away with that hook, with the collapse happening right now from Numerics. Legend will get taken out. That's really going to slow down the collection of that trait. And a nice pickup there. First blood of the game going to Numerics.
A big play by Stitches, getting that hook in. That's the one thing that Kel'Thuzad is going to suffer from, is early game damage means that you can dive on him early game. And you know, I'm looking at this structure from Even and Death, Jake, and I think that it worries me a little bit. Malthael wins against Dahaka 99% of the time. You kind of got to be a bad Malthael to not win that matchup, and obviously Malthael already getting the advantage up there. Who rotates up to support there? With this composition, it's almost hard. You need Kel'Thuzad in that rotation to try and get those Blight stacks. Deadly Ice has to be there so you have some type of pop and some type of wave clear, because Kel'Thuzad just doesn't get it done. So I'm really curious how Operative Esports will survive the early game.
Definitely something they've got to be asking themselves. If they fall too far behind in experience, it could become quite the problem for them, but they still will have the potential for those nice power spikes. And their level 10 has amazing blow-up. You think about Cursed Bullet with Cocoon to isolate a target and then blow up someone like Stitches, who can't receive an Ancestral because of Cocoon, could make for some really big explosive plays. And, you know, although Stitches does have a monstrous health bar, he isn't always going to be able to get out of a situation if they do decide to collapse on him in this kind of plays. Rhaegar did manage to grab the Night Camp at the top right side, just the powerful utility of that support hero being able to do that, but Shot needs to be careful. The hook is definitely his biggest threat right now, but not actually too worried. The team did opt to back away just a little bit.
Can't get through the bush. Stitches, get out of the way, man. Why you got that big body? Get out of the way. Shot finally getting around there as Fazda just puts the pressure on. You talked about that. It's a really interesting way that Kel'Thuzad works, because he has that, you know, you have Dampen Magic available for Stitches, but you throw out that Death and Decay, it's a tick style, so it doesn't necessarily do well. It helps with burst damage, but if you lead with that Q, that doesn't get a lot of value, but if you can get that burst damage, Dampen Magic might have been the choice, but he's opting to go into the Slam build here. We'll see if that comes to pay dividends late game for Kel'Thuzad.
Legend is the focus once again, and they do get their juicy morsel of that Kel'Thuzad depth. Level 7 advantage for a short while right now for Team Numerics, and also threatening a potential Dragonite. 8 more seconds before KT is back up. Looks like they're going to be able to force Shot away fairly quickly. Not sure if they can stall this out safely. With that Hungry Arrow chasing in, Shot is going in for a desperate play. He burrows above the hook, does not connect, and he's going to look for the retreat. Caesar Salad has the Feral Lunge, and they have a Dragon. A beautiful opening for Team Numerics.
And this is the battleground, Jake, that a few weeks ago, when we saw them go up against Heroes Hearth, this is one of the battlegrounds that they did incredibly well on. And we'll see how they can do it here as they're starting to build the lead. They've got about a half level, stretching into that full level. Legend going to get the boot there as he goes flying. The rest of Team Numerics, however, going to try and put pressure in all lanes now.
Yeah, the Dragon's going to be able to get decent value. We do see they're going to clear out mid. Top has Malthael Hearthing, so they are missing a little bit of experience in this time, but it's not too bad. Hungering Arrow build is, in fact, quite deadly with the repeating arrow at level 7. It's a good situation for them right now.
Good situation so far, and they continue to put the pressure on. They'll be able to get 10. You know, the Dragon Knight, the longer this goes, obviously, the more time you're going to have for Operative Esports to get to that level 10, which they will desperately need. Blight stacks, you've now reached that 15 mark, so you have the reduced cooldowns. However, you're looking for that 30, Jake, to get that big ability power to pack a punch. And, you know, you'll need that right around 10. 16 stacks, okay. We're going to see if he can push the limits right around that 10 mark.
They need to. I mean, it's a really good situation right now for Numerics. They have the threat of the constant picks, and they're looking for one right now. Oh, they do have Mfu in their sights. The hook is short range, but solid, and they do get the free kill. And they're going to be able to grab this camp as well. It's so good to threaten these situations on Shire. It makes Stitches terrifying because, yes, that was like a 2-inch hook, but could have been even more deadly in other situations if they were further away.
I'm really curious. Operative Esports, they're going to have a tough time. Running a solo Stukov is never really ideal. They feel confident in it. We've seen some teams do it. Now level 10 is online. We will see that Cocoon you talked about. There, of course, is the Fissure. Isolation will be picked up. And go for the throat. Not Cursed Bullet for that burst damage. But you can see, continuing to hit the chains there is the main thing. It might look grim now, but if Kel'Thuzad gets online, they can get a fight like this, Jake. It could look a lot better.
Couldn't quite get the lockdown they wanted onto Caesar Salad, and they did end up spending that Cocoon for very little value, but at least they pushed this lane out a bit. With that kind of attempt, it's not too costly. Only a Cocoon was spent, so 50 seconds will be ready before they need it in most cases.
Oh, no.
Oh, the invade? Oh. Kel'Thuzad is close, too. He's 24 and 30, but he has died, what, 3 times?
He stood right beside that bush. Yeah, he had 3 deaths. He does have the most damage in the game, but if you're dying, Jake, how much is it really worth? He does have 24 stacks. 6 more. He hits a tremendous power spike. We'll see if he can land those. So far, we haven't had that big breakout fight. We haven't had that yet. It's going to be something that Operative Esports is going to have to look towards because they're about to be down another talent tier, the 13 quickly approaching for Team Numerics.
And Numerics have just amazing macro play right now. They were able to grab both net camps at the same time, the top and bottom lane. They have control of the bottom shrine and a nice rotation going up towards the mid. Shot is waiting. They would be at a disadvantage in this moment, going for this fight. So they are playing a little bit more safe. Force Wall will force that burrow charge out. Ooh, the Beetle getting the hook. Flailing Swipes was used.
Just give him the old backhand there. Cocoon is out, but you also see Stitches already going that Putrid Bile, getting the heals up. The good zoning from Stukov is going to allow him to go in. There is the hook again. There's the spike, the glacial spike. They go in. They finally get the kill that they're looking for. The Tormented Souls is out.
Beautiful Ancestral. Malthael does have to back away. Chain Heal giving him a little bit of life, but Deadly Ice will fall as well. Ends up being a 3-for-1 trade, favoring Numerics, who are now going to be able to threaten a second boss in this game. Shot had to Hearth back, too low on HP to contest, and this is a sizable experience differential, J-How.
You know, we had really good zoning from Stukov there with the lurking arm going underneath, allowing them to not pass through there. They got the kill onto Stitches, but Jake, they hit that huge choke point and had a hard time getting out of there. And ended up suffering because of it. And that entire time, Jake, that camp pushing top, getting mad value.
Yeah, just so much added control with their rotations, just the amazing clear this whole team has. The Mercenary Camp invades have been spot on from Numerics, and the Dragonshire game is looking great. And like you mentioned, the Stukov healing hasn't felt like it's had that oomph that you want to have, right? Rhaegar's had a nice Ancestral, his healing's been solid, he's been getting Merc Camps. Stukov had kind of a weird flailing swipes and then not the most impactful heals in that fight.
And we're looking at 10 minutes in the first key, not even 10 minutes at this point, 9.5 minutes is Flyest Raven. And this puts your back against the wall. You have the global in Dahaka, but generally Dahaka's not going to be in that bot lane. So trying to find that value as the hook onto shot, the boot back. Is he going to have the burrow charge? Where is his escape route right now, Jake?
That was so well done to queue up the boot as the hook was in motion. Flyest Raven's got to be a little bit careful here. Oh, nice cleanse going out, denying the drag its target.
Ooh, shot never ended up going back, but the hook's going to bring him right back in. That's going to be another death going down there. Tormented Souls is going to be out. The flailing swipe back on there. The chains are going to hit as well. Only for a moment it's going to push him back, and that's going to leave Team Numerics up 3 levels and getting a siege camp on the side of Operative.
I mean, they're in control in just about every single way right now. Yes, Kel'Thuzad has finally reached that power spike. His combo can be absolutely deadly, and they need to be wary of that, but look at the posture. It speaks for itself. With shot down, they can do what they like. They're going to grab this offensive camp. They can rotate back to the other giant camp, clean up the top wave for a nice chunk of XP. But why do all that when you have a free wall just looking at you in the eye?
It just opens it up. It opens up the map. You can get there. You've already got that down. You can push in, pressure in here. Your minions can get more value. You're getting that XP, stretching that lead. Remember, you don't want to give up those kills if you're on the side of Numerics. So you just get there, you take what you can, you walk away. There's no need to risk it at this point. You're 2 levels, almost 3 levels up. The next Shrine phase will be here before 16 for Operative, so you are in complete control of this game.
Okay, the Beetle once again getting golden from the hook, so another nice situation for them. They want to keep the stranglehold on as much as they can, but at the same time, there's other opportunities. They're just going to back up, get presence across the lanes, and prepare for the next fight. This is tough. I don't really know the best plan of action right now for Operative. They're pretty far down. Being down to talent tier in 3 levels is, you need a miracle. You need to find that target that's out and alone, and that's exactly what Numerics is denying them.
They were trying to set up something there. A good attempt, I think, on their part. They'll have to deal with the catapults and the siege giants on the bottom. This gives them an opportunity to contest here. Malthael all the way top. They could try and pick a fight here through the rotations, but they've got to be careful. They have a small window before Malthael makes it down. Instead, they don't recognize the hero on top. They don't want to try and use Dahaka, and they're going to look for something a little bit better. If he uses his burrow charge, that hook will come out. Okay.
Well, the constant just ring around the rosy as both of the dragons are being channeled, and they just get a free pickup. A little bit of a slip up there, but again, that's just the advantage that's been earned from Numerics by having this huge XP lead.
One thing to keep in mind, because we are in the KTZ balance patch, you see the Dragonite continues to get CC'd. Not unstoppable just yet. They will lose another keep here. Jake, I'm afraid that because they're giving this up, because they have catapults pushing now in 2 lanes, it almost feels like checkmate that they didn't contest that. Yes, they were down. They didn't have the talent here, but there's Legend pulled right into the back. He's going to get a trade-off for a kill, but Kel'Thuzad has that phylactery. He is right back on the battlefield.
Okay, with KT back in, that does give them a hero advantage. Ancestral will deny Deadly Ice's target as he goes for the throat. The punt isolating this single target as Trap Queen not going to be able to get through this one, and the Dragon still has another 25 seconds and 66% of its health bar. It's looking towards the core, but Vin is getting a lot of damage. Deadly Ice will fall. They actually knock Mfu way behind enemy lines, and the flailing swipes will hold on to his life. Oh my goodness, Kel'Thuzad finds the kill in Vala.
He found the kill, but I think he's going to find something else, and that's an entire team at his back as Team Numerics gets another kill. There's only 2 members standing. That's going to be Stukov and Anubarak, and we've got another few seconds on this, but they're going for the core. This is a 3-man core. Rhaegar is your best clear here. They've got the shields down. I don't know if they can finish this.
I mean, Malthael definitely does do good damage, but Is it enough? Shot's going to die here, and that might actually be it. He didn't manage to stall it long enough for his team. Yes, Trap Queen is back up onto Haka, but the Putrid Vial in the back zoning. I think that's going to be game 1 to Numerics.
That should be game. Anubarak dying that quickly. It was his job to just kind of zone, hold the fort, essentially, hold the core at this point, because Malthael does terrible siege damage. He's resorted to auto attacks.
Yeah.
His trait does not apply there. So it felt a bit, I guess, rough there.
With those 3?
A little over-aggressive. The solo Stukov, I'm not real sure where that came in during the draft, Jake, but I got to say it looked quite rough throughout that entire game.
It definitely seemed like it was a weakness for them in a lot of ways. And, you know, honestly, like, I love Stukov. I think he's got huge impact, but if you can't ever force, like, a nice disengage, he just doesn't work out. And against the Stitches, like, what do Stitches do? You pull them in, isolate, blow up target, and Stukov just doesn't have that kind of snap support you need. He doesn't have the cleanse. He doesn't have the big heals. And they just didn't have the answer for that. So some cool things attempted there. Obviously, with different maps, we'll probably see different strengths shine for Operative Esports, but it really just felt like Numerics had their number on Dragonshire.
It did. I mean, we talked about it a little bit during that game, is that it was just a few weeks ago when they played Heroes Hearth that they had a very impressive game on that battleground. It seems like where they're at. We saw them in that previous series. If we look back even before that series against Heroes Hearth, it was something that they did really well on. So it's no surprise that that was the first battleground. They did well. We do have a best of 3, so Operative. Yep. And there's so much I could draw from that draft in the sense that if you go Kel'Thuzon, you're basically committed to a double assassin. And by going double assassin, you've got the 3-lane. You've got to have the solo laner who's rarely, if ever, going to be there, which leaves you with that solo support. And going solo support Stukov is just not ideal in that situation, in that battleground. You could break that down all kinds of different ways, but I really feel like Operative, you know, I've talked about how they were one of the best drafting teams, but probably one of the least well-executed teams that I've seen in the Open Division. They have a lot of promise, and I'm just waiting for them to put it together. I think they missed the mark that one, so I'm curious what we'll get to here in game number 2.
Yeah, we'll know the map in just a moment here. And again, everyone that's just tuning in, this is the HGC Open Division Playoffs for North America. The season was 7 cups long. We now have our top 8 teams based on the points they earned throughout this season. We have Heroes Hearth, Reprot, Operative, Team Numerics, Imported Trademark, Donkeys Are Us, and the UNT Eagles. And it's double elimination, best of 3 all the way through until the grand finals, which is a best of 5 series. And although both teams in the grand finals get to go to the Crucible, you have that power to choose who your opponent is. Do you want to face Even in Death, or do you want to face Lagif? That's a big advantage to have.
I think most people, if we're being honest here, are probably looking at Even in Death. If you're the number 1 seed, they were the last place team. They got in last time. And you talked about that. Not only do you get to pick your team, Jake, but think about how Even in Death got in. B-Step disbanded, went their own ways, thus opened a spot in the HGC Pro League. By winning the Crucible, winning the Open Division playoffs, if you do that, and something, however, happens, although we have a lot more stability now, but maybe, what if that happens, not only do you get to pick your opponent, you can win your way in, but if you don't, and somebody goes down,
you get a free ride.
You get a free ride. So
that's crazy.
There's multiple reasons why you want to win.
I mean, if we look back at Phase 1, Even in Death was, I believe, the 4th seed, right?
4th seed.
And we're now watching the 4th and 5th seed teams. So, you know, like you said, there's more stability, but Numerics, who just won that game, just last week, or 2 weeks ago, took a game off Heroes Hearth. So it's not out of the question, right? Some weekends teams just show up. Some patches teams are just better. And even if you might be the better team, you know, 7 out of 8 times, it only matters that one time. That one isolated weekend is really where it counts. So we'll see. Playoffs will be going for the next 3 days. Next map is still being determined, it looks like. Lobbies. And survey says Towers of Doom.
Quite a bit different than Dragonshire.
A little bit.
You could probably get away with that same composition, maybe not the Stukov there, maybe the Stukov, but you get away with that. I think it's a little bit more forgiving than Dragonshire, so we'll see what they want to go with. You know, we didn't get to, you know, they obviously went through the draft while we were getting things set up here, And, you know, I want to see the draft this go around. What kind of forces that? Do we kind of see the play around the ETC that we've seen so prominent in the pro division across the globe right now? Will we see that Uther Genji come out in response? You know, Genji does so well to deny, to poke, and then getting that Uther there. There's a lot of things that you can play around the globals, all things. Towers of Doom, I think I've heard you say this so many times off stream, is like how this is such a great map.
It's never over.
For competitive.
Yeah.
For competitive, this is probably one of the maps where it's like, oh, you know, like we only have 1 core health left, but it's still not over.
Yeah, that's why I love this map. And yeah, teams have gotten a lot better at, you know, controlling the structure game, like getting ahead when it comes to battle towers, and that makes it really hard to fight back. But late game, only 1 team fight is needed to kind of regain your control of the battleground. And yeah, it's so fun. It really is. It looks like we have all 10 players, so I'm going to let them know that we are ready. And no one swapped sides. Excellent. So I'm curious to see what the draft is like for sure. I'm glad we got to see the new heroes in that last game. Ana is not allowed, just to reference that. Kel'Thuzad is, as we just saw him. But yeah, man, it's definitely been an interesting ride watching the meta and watching the Open Division get influenced by Pro League.
It is. It's always the trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping next season, next year, we get kind of, if you're that 1 day short of that 2-week window, we get to see the new hero, just kind of sneak it in a little bit. Then the pros can learn, or at least see how it functions in certain scenarios. But we always get the trickle-down effect. So ETC might be in play. You know, we'll see a lot of that being based around there.
Okay. Well, we have the draft going live here, and the first pick, first ban is going to be on the side of Operative.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. We're going to take Dahaka off the table, which makes me wonder, are you just trying to take the globals out? Will you be going Brightwing? Will you be going into the Falstad? Taking Dahaka off the table, we see Abathur banned out, which means that Tassadar will be open. Do you get the first pick Tassadar, which you would conceivably give up that Uther Genji? Will we see the ETC first pick? We're going to find out here as Dahaka and Abathur both off the board. They go first pick Greymane.
They believe. They had Greymane last game. Greymane's definitely a great hero. Lots in his kit. It was a go for the throat game, was it not?
It was.
Which is good, but first pick worthy, huh? Leaving up things like ETC, Uther, Genji, all heroes you mentioned. Abathur has been banned, but so is Dahaka, so the global situation a bit weird. Common thing that's talked about on the forums right now is the Falstad bug, but we're not actually playing on that patch, so that is not an issue here. So Falstad is allowed, but his win rate isn't quite as magical without that bug.
I played a Towers of Doom game on Ranked Draft with our boy Haloran. Shoutouts to Haloran. I played it with him on his stream the other day. Quick tidbit. Somebody drafted a Samuro and a Rexar into it. I ended up with like 249 Q stacks on my hammering. It was ungodly. And that was before level 13, by the way. But here we are. Malthael, Rhaegar, completely ignoring Tassadar, completely ignoring Genji and Uther, completely ignoring ETC. They have their own meta that they like to run, and that consists of Rhaegar and Malthael.
I mean, you've got a dominant solo lane. When it comes to team fights, Malthael is just an absolute beast. And of course, the Ancestral Heal to top him off, but a mix-up is happening. We are going to see Shop playing the Anubarak, but instead of trying to run Stukov, they opt for Lucio. Now again, Uther is available. They're not going for Uther, they want Lucio.
This has been the biggest power play that we've seen in Pro Division lately, is that if you can get that Malthael, you ban out the Lucio. Lucio right now in the Pro play is considered one of the best counters, because the minute that the Tormented Souls comes out, the sound barrier comes out, and it deals with so much of that AoE damage. Instead of worrying about that hard CC, worrying about that blow-up, you just out-sustain it. And a lot of teams have been doing that, hitting that Lucio ban on that second phase, forcing you to ban out Malthael, and if you don't ban out that Malthael, it's been picked up. We've seen this move around, and I think that forced Operative Esports into that Lucio pick more than they wanted it. I feel that they felt that they had to draft it. I imagine we'll see double support, but the Lucio clearly a counter towards the Malthael.
Well, right now they're looking at solo lane options that will do well against Malthael, and Sonya ends up being banned out as a result. Dahaka's already been removed as well. So it's definitely a good bit of control potentially there for the side of Team Numerics. And Operative, now need to make their response. The question is, are they actually still worried about Tassadar? Are they going to be worried that Tass is going to get value with, well, maybe a Vala that you complement with as your ranged assassin? That's a very good, pairing. Tracer could even be a threat. Probably not so much when you have Malthael, but you never know. We've seen weirder things happen.
I like that you pointed out the Tassadar. I think right now that you are worried about that range damage dealer, and Vala is one of those ones that pair so well with Tassadar, which would fit amazingly well with this comp to give you that secondary support plus the supplemental damage that you can get out of a lot, plus supporting that team in so many different ways. I'd love to see the Tassadar ban here unless they've been seeing something in Scrim, seeing something different. Maybe they've got their own mind with what they're going to go with. They're taking their time, though, here, Jake.
I mean, this is playoffs. You don't take any chances, and they actually don't want to take any chances with the hooks. We actually had the Stitches, Rhaegar, Malthael all prominent in game 1. Very different map of Dragonshire. Doesn't mean they're not powerhouses here, and they're afraid of it. But Arthas plus Falstad.
They get their global.
Ooh.
The thing about this is that seeing the Falstad with the Malthael means that Malthael's generally going to be your solo laner, which means Falstad will fit into your 4-man or your 2-2 split at the mid-bottom. It's not normally that big damage dealer that you look towards. I don't see his damage being particularly high in most games. It normally plays around the gust. I actually am not a big fan of the Falstad pickup. I would have liked to have seen something different, but it's hard to really say it's a bad pickup because you've got the global. I'm just not as big a fan of it as getting another damage dealer on that backside that you could have, or even that Tassadar to leave that last pick open.
I'm curious how much of this Falstad pick is influenced just because of so many people playing a lot of Falstad in Hero League recently. And oftentimes, when there is a rise of a hero, whether or not they had a balance change or whatever, you just get comfortable and you start feeling confident on that hero. And it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means that that player is feeling it and they want to rock that on this map. But look at this response. Solo support Lucio.
Yow! Kick it old school here, Jake. Kick it old school. We got the new reformed Jaina here.
I love it.
Got the big blow-up potential. We got the old VP Ring of Frost combo, and we're going to see if they can execute it. And against this composition, this is blow-up city. Now, a lot of times, let's say pre-Genji, right? It was Zeratul was that flex hero that would flex between mid, top lane, try and get those ganks. It's a lot harder against the Malthael because Malthael has a little bit more mobility, has that self-heal, but it used to be that Falstad counter when Falstad was that prominent solo laner. Zeratul would feast all day on Falstads. He can't quite do the same against Malthael, but we see him here, and I think it's going to be more around the combo than it will be for those top lane picks.
Absolutely. And right now, I mean, Falstad doesn't trade that well against Jaina. She goes Frostbolt build. He is going to be outranged by her every single time. But they do have one more pick here.
Tassadar or Brightwing? How do you feel about Tassadar? Got the reveal, plus the extra shields. Or, you know what, you just find somebody that does damage in return.
Yeah, I think they needed the damage because if you go Tassadar, like, sure, he's got a little bit of damage with the Psystorm, and you pretty much have to go Archon, but like overall, you're so reliant on Malthael landing that big ultimate and just kind of tearing the enemy team apart. But with Li Ming, you actually can start poking at them a little bit better. And we'll see how much she specs into teleport for the E build with the diamond skin and dominance. But I'll tell you, Li Ming can be really difficult for a Zeratul if you play that way.
I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been in the Tempo series yesterday where they went Triumvirate at 4. And it was one of the rare times. I've been a huge advocate for Triumvirate in a long line of games. I think that there's a lot of good use. Dominance, obviously, the number one thing that you generally go with to get that heal when you start getting in there into that melee range, getting those blow-ups. But Triumvirate was picked up. I believe it was in the series last night. If not, it was definitely in the EU series. And it's something that occasionally you will go into something like that. Anubarak, I used to make the case, because Anubarak, his spell armor at 1 used to be on an 8-second cooldown. Arcane Orb, 8-second cooldown. I used to think, what are good ways to take advantage of that window is to use that Triumvirate. But that's another story for another time, Jake. We've got Game 2 underway.
And here we go in the blue side. We have Operative Esports fighting for their life as they're down 0-1 versus Team Numerics. And Team Numerics, they looked really, really dominant on Dragonshire. It's a different story for Towers of Doom in terms of the way the rotations and the layout works. They don't have that hook to get themselves those big plays in the early game, but Well. Anyways, we... It sounds like they're okay with the server situation. There
This
are
ice okay?
There are 2 North American servers when it comes to Heroes, and that's often a point of interest when it comes to creating the lobby.
Yeah, Tournament Realm listed a little bit differently under that. Rhaegar holding his level 1, as is Nubarak. I can't imagine there's going to be any play there, but Nubarak, wouldn't be surprised if he's considering maybe the regen as Fast that's going to find Deadly Ice there in the bush. But maybe the regen master, maybe the Nerubian armor. He's definitely spending his time to think about it. I'm just trying to think of what would be the holdup here.
I don't know. Shot's being a little cheeky, I guess. Fazda is going to take a fair bit of damage here. The Barrel Charge to keep him in. Good zoning, and I like the follow from Kwanzar. Getting the nice damage return, so pretty much even DPS delivered. Vin, you pretty much have to barrel roll as soon as you see Jaina. And that's just kind of how it works. If you get flanked by Jaina, it's just like, oh, nope, get me out of here.
When you get slowed, it is a terrible feeling. I do like the fact that we do see Jaina going into Fingers of Frost, which is her globe build, gathering the regen globes. You get extra mana regen, but after you get 20, Jake, you get that damage bonus,
that
which
trait value is
really is there.
It's beefy, and it's so nice to like have that interesting version of what used to just be Conjurer's Pursuit, right? She does actually run out of mana pretty quickly. Actually, I used to play a lot of Arcane Intellect just because I want to spam abilities.
I still do, Jake.
Well, passing up that Pierce on the Q is definitely always hard to come by, and that's what I expect to see is pretty much a Frostbolt build from here on out with the Icy Veins.
Well, the contention down at the bottom lane, the Sapper camp was picked up on the side of Operative. They're going to try and get a little bit of damage, maybe control the bottom one. Although Malthael, we saw on the minimap, he was sneaking over there. He decided not to. It looks like we're going to have our fight towards the bottom. If the fight happens, Fasta has to live as he started to take a bit of pressure, but was able to heal up.
He's had a pretty consistently death coil himself to try to retain that HP. Every time that Chain Heal is ready, it's been cast as well. But the poke has been, significant. It's not even just Jaina getting a lot of poke. Mfu is constantly throwing out those Lucio auto attacks, rolling around with the additional movement speed and doing as much damage as he can, and that adds up quickly. And now we're looking at a nice start here for Operative, getting the second channel and a quick invade onto the Sappers here, which will not be responded to in time. Even if Kwanzar sees this, there's just no challenging it.
That's the thing, is that if you look at the minimap, Falstad's middle, Malthael's your top lane. Generally, if you want to try and defend that, as we see Rhaegar under all kinds of pressure, generally, if you want to defend that, you have your global on the top, you have somebody that can rotate over. It's Deadly Ice. Oh, Deadly Ice. I don't know if that was Vorpal or Blink, but that was really awkward movement there.
I think he was trying to juke, and a little bit of panic potentially, because Flyest Raven with a beautiful rotation gonna get that kill. That really sets the game to be an even standing right now. Getting that kill does give a little bit of control to this top part of the map right now, and sets the precedent for it to be a little bit scary for them with those rotations. Falstad does fly in onto Shot directly, but Shot does have a nice Impale waiting for him.
Yeah, and going Bed of Barbs, it's only going to help there for the peel or for that control, depending on which way you're going in there. As we see Vin and Fasta getting that clear, and you got to think once Vin gets level 7, that Boomerang's going to help a lot in that wave clear. Won't need that added support, and allows you a little bit more flexibility to potentially go for the invade, maybe a little bit earlier. So they were a little bit slow on the rotation to check on that. And you think that if Arthas isn't needed in that mid lane, maybe they get there sooner and they try and get that invade, Jake.
Level 7 around the corner right now. I like how Greymane's been able to challenge Flyest Raven in the top lane. That's that was their first pick in the draft. They were clearly confident in Greymane just as a pick in general, and the fact that it's working out well for them to the point where they had to rotate Vin up to hold this lane while Malthael hearths. I think that's a good sign for the state of the lane. But with level 7 talents being locked in finally, we do see Calamity plus Dominance. That's a little bit of a it's a good build in general, but that will be very good against the Zeratul diving in.
Double altar phase. It looks like Jaina on the minimap will be there, but all the action, of course, going on here in the middle shrine. Middle altar, and that's going to be channeled. Now we'll have our fight, maybe, although the root's going in. Shot being locked down. That's going to force him back, but on the backside, we got Zeratul coming in for the flank, putting a lot of pressure on, but I think that Team Numerics should be able to hold here as they are just very low on health bars on the side of Operative.
1 for 1 in this phase. Still a nice advantage right now to Operative Esports overall in the count, but experience remaining dead even, and once again we're seeing the call being made to go in and invade this camp. This time around, however, the Howling Blast is there on 2. Shot is doing his best to peel, but that value of the hammering hitting 4 targets is huge. False head with the aggressive barrel roll. Rhaegar at 100 HP will end up falling. Mfu dies to the death coil, but that invade did not pay off.
They learned their lesson, Jake. They're like, you know what? We were late on the first one. We gave up our first one. We were late on the invade on the second one. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Well, Jake, we can't get fooled again.
Yeah, that's going to definitely change the minds moving forward for Operative, or it should when it comes to making those calls. And, you know, I wonder how much of that was actually choreographed from Numerics. They showed 4 members, I think it was, in mid. And in that moment, we saw pretty much the entire team march on in, and the collapse, I mean, it spoke for itself. That was just devastating right now as level 10 is around the corner.
And they've got that. You talked about the boomerang being a thing. I talked about it for wave clear, but man, you hop in there and you've got them lined up like that. That is free as Zeratul. The Mighty Gust forced to be used. This is why Zeratul comes into such play. He's got Vorpal. We've got Tormented Souls in return. Jaina with a little bit of zoning. You can't really give up that burst. Nice pierce there. The slow is there, but that is exactly why Zeratul used to be such a threat towards Falstad. No matter what, that Vorpal blade at level 1, such a huge tool. His shot looks like he ran into the tower.
I think that's definitely going to be a big part of this, is how often can that Zeratul get that value, and we did end up seeing that long cooldown of Tormented Souls used. Deadly Ice drops the VP
there it
as
is.
Feral Lunge was diving for him. The Flyers Raven trying to find the kill. Deadly Ice is living. Resets are a desperate thing right now for Li Ming, but they can't seem to find one. It's a sound barrier. Keeps Legend alive.
Keeps him alive, but we just got to say it as it is. The bad timing there on the release of the VP, maybe if you're not as familiar with it, if it's been a while since you've played it, Jake, you're not as familiar with that ring timing. They hit nobody with that ring.
Feels bad, man. And ultimately, it's only going to cost them the single altar right now. There were a lot of heroics used on both sides, but since they were used a little bit earlier on the side of Team Numerics, that will be in a slight advantage in that regard. Shouldn't mean too much, but right now, those cores are sitting at 28 and 28.
Yeah, pretty even game, but to me, Jake, other than that pick on the Falstad, it feels like Numerics has been in control of the game since they gave up the first few minutes with the camps. That was kind of the biggest thing, is that those early camps kind of gave control to Operative, but since then, I think they've had trouble regaining that control. They still have the burst potential, they still have the Zeratul, the Jaina combo, they just have to be able to execute it. That's the biggest thing. We're talking about big cooldowns there, and if you don't get them, those last fights will look exactly like they did last time when you give up those shots.
Ooh, they are on the hunt for young Deadly Ice, but not going to get what they're looking for. It's just a little bit too slippery for them. And they're just going to settle for getting a free for wall right now. Sappers v Sappers in the bottom. Since it's been more or less left alone, we will see Jaina clean that up. But right now the rotation is happening. You see that those speed boosts being used to try to keep Legend alive. A nice boop, and the gust on the Sapper.
Did he like shift command or something? I don't know what that was. There was nobody there, Jake. That's normally like I'm on stream, right? I'm like, oh, nobody saw that. I'm just gonna like stop stream, pretend there's a glitch, and then restart it. And be like, oh, nothing happened. Sorry about that.
Moving on. We do have the altars up in 15 seconds. Gust, a short cooldown, 30 seconds away. The only thing to consider right now, Flyest Raven receives a cleanse, so that is definitely a meaningful cooldown.
Yeah, they were afraid of that slow from Jaina. Quick update for you, Jake. 6,940, basically 7k damage towards that 15k to get that ice block, that ice barrier for Jaina right now. Good zoning, but the Howling Blast is going to land on a Trap Queen and interrupt. They're going to try and channel it one more time. All
right, Army of the Dead has been cast, and you still have the big Tormented Souls to go through, but a 3-man VP. Looking for the ring. There it goes, and it hits one. The Ancestral is going to be able to save Kwanzar, but Rhaegar goes down. Sound Barrier topping everyone off, but those Tormented Souls will need to leave the fight. The Army of the Dead has expired, and this 4v5, Lucio is going to have that big heal ready in just a moment, so it's looking hard for him to win, but if Trap Queen dies...
Oh! Trap Queen almost got the reset onto his go for the throat, did not get it, ended up falling. Heals weren't enough, and now they're turning this fight. Everybody is very low. Kwanzar's got to be careful, but Legend very low on mana, as is almost everybody, but Shot going back in. That was his last chance at taking that, and he goes down. More shots going to go over to Numerics.
Who is this flyest Raven? Because he is fly on Malthael. Went back, tapped the well, re-engaged, and got the kills they needed. Deadly Ice and Jaina will find a kill of their own, but is it worth it in this moment? Looks like it'll be an even trade.
Legend? I was going to say, that hammering will blow up in your face. 8 kills to 4. After they got that first blow up, I really thought this is the chance where we're going to see Operative really take control of this game, get some shots, go back to getting the camps, which they've been doing, get control of that bot lane. Instead, in the end, it turns out that it's in favor of Numerics. But Jake, I'm looking at the core health. It's only 28 to 24.
Yeah, it's definitely very winnable for both sides. The experience is also locked in. We actually are seeing Stormfront, and this is...
That's the
instead of
distance?
ice, they're going for additional range instead of icy veins, and
even the shields. I think getting the shields off your combos. But I mean, I guess you're relying on the shields from Lucio. And that's one big shield, though.
I mean, maybe if you're just looking for a little bit of safer posture to try to follow up on the VP, but at the same time, it's not like you can cast Ring of Frost from that same distance. So we'll see if there's added value. When it comes to stalling, that's definitely going to be a useful tool for throwing the Blizzard down onto an altar in those late game situations. But it's, Icy Veins is so good. That's a big play, however, for Greymane, getting a free bell tower, and they're going to get away with it.
They're going to get away with it. Jaina just completed her Fingers of Frost, that big gold animation, so now she's got that 10% damage going into that burst style. She's also about to hit 16, where you can go that vulnerability on your Cone of Cold. Maybe we'll see the root. We're going to find out soon as they're getting close to 16. Triple altar phase, though, this is tough. When you don't control your own bottom bell tower, Jake, you have very few exit points without the fear of being chased down.
Yeah, Vin is actually making pretty fast work of this, and it looks like it's going to work out in time for them to deny the bell tower threat, as yes, it does end up going down before these are picked up. Trap Queen on the channel. Rhaegar is in the bottom, so there's no heals whatsoever in the top part. They just need to stall as safely as possible. Lucy already dropping that healing boombox.
That feels a bit surprising that Rhaegar is your one in your solo.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have the traditional mount, although Legend just ate a nasty combo from Li Ming, who did go in
Snowstorm
to the extra 2.
So it's not Numbing Blast, it's not Northern Exposure, it's the additional radius on the Blizzard, trying to make big plays. Legend almost ends up dying as Kwanzaa would get those resets, but not quite the case. Arm that is being summoned right now with Ancestral, so Arthas can re-engage as he pleases, but Flyest Raven so close to getting the kill. Sound Barrier Denial was what they needed.
Here we go, baby, line it up! Oh no, he didn't cancel it! Fastest, somehow living. The cleanse is going to be on there. Deadly Ass is going to fall on the backside, and now Li Ming getting the resets. Legend taking so much damage. You can see that Blizzard is zoning them out, but it is not enough to keep them away, but that is going to be enough. Quadzar is taking so much damage. The channel ends up going over to Operative.
They end up getting the channel, but right now they're lacking their bottom bell tower, so they only got 3 damage out of that when they could have gotten more. And at the same time, if they had actually landed that combo, you're talking probably 3 more kills, a level lead, bell tower advantage up, like probably 2 bell towers after that with that kind of situation. Maybe even a Headless Horseman in the mix as well. Like, that misplay... if you draft Jaina's Air Tool, you gotta hit that. You really gotta hit that.
They've only managed to hit it 1 out of, what, 3 times?
1
4
hero
now?
out of, like, every combo. Like,
okay, 13 is a little bit forgivable on the range because it's Towers of Doom, right? But is the 16 forgivable? You give up a root or a vulnerability, which, yes, you have the self-cleanse in a sense from Malthael at 13. Yes, you have the cleanse from Rhaegar. But I just can't help but feel that that is such a big, big talent There's two talents there I think they're so good. The vulnerability being one of them. You land that ring, Jake, you hit that E on 2 people, it's almost impossible. You went the level 1 talent for the burst damage. You blow people up with that build.
It's insane. Northern Exposure is a phenomenal talent, but even Numbing Blast versus Falstad, if he's ever isolated, he just dies. You've got Zeratul Jaina. Like, Falstad literally just dies if there's no cleanse available. So, but you know what? We'll see if the value is there, because it does control a lot of space, especially if they're looking to invade an aggressive altar in that situation. Jaina is very... there's no threat for her when she's throwing up those Ws, and she does have the oh no, she didn't even get the level 7 talent, so she doesn't have the Blizzard cooldown reduction. It's definitely a little bit all over the place, but she does have the ice block now at least, so that'll be helpful.
That is helpful in a sense. We'll see how this goes. Double altar phase will be at the top. Bell towers completely even here, Jake, but the lead still in favor of Team Numerics.
22 to 15 as the total. Two altars in the top part of the map. Greymane is already
Mighty Gust was just used up top. Falstad got collapsed on. I just saw 2 people move on the minimap. I see the cooldown goes off. Greymane's going to get the channel on the left, and this is the same situation we just found ourselves in. We're going to have a battle over the top right. Bell tower shot in very deep right now. Forced a burrow charge out. The VP on the backside, but Legend, there's no way he's close enough. The ring catches one on the backside, but who does that hit, Jake?
Hit Rhaegar, lock him in place for a bit. They're going to be able to pop that cocoon in just a second. Ancestral is exactly what they needed. And oh my god, the damage is just too
Oh, Deadly
much.
Ice at least got the trade there.
I mean, hello? Cool. Grats. But this is a big loss right now. The total core health is about to change quite a bit, and the layout and the control of the map is all in the hands of Team Numerics.
Okay, listen, I'm going to break this down for you on a macro scale right now. Getting the top bell tower is cool, right? You're going to go up and get the pumpkin sappers. But right now, your play should be on the mid and bottom. You want to get that power move. You want to get the camps pushing. You want to have the threat of that going in. Don't worry about the top just yet. They might end up with a 6 cap here and end up getting the game anyways, because they're still waiting on that channel up at the top. They might get the 6 cap. They might go everything here. I'm a bit surprised this is the split, but it looks like it might just be enough anyways. We'll see how this plays out. I want to see how it plays out long term if they don't get this game here. And right now, it looks like Numerics is putting a chokehold on this game.
The safe retreat for Flyest Raven as he goes to capture this with the heroes respawning. They opt to just collapse directly onto the mid belt tower. Mistakes were made.
Wow.
So they're going to get the 5 damage.
Wow.
Not quite what they wanted. They calculated for a little bit. They were hoping for a little bit more than that. But they still have the macro advantage. This will fall down if you look at it wrong. And they're looking to try to put some pressure on here as Falstad is getting that continuous gust into the wall. Mfu goes pretty low quickly with the
Jaina
sound
just
barrier.
walked all up in there to get that and just...
Ooh, the interrupt.
Yeah, but she just literally walked all the way in there. Snap picked her blink at 20.
Rhaegar died.
Wait, Rhaegar? Deadly Ice? Deadly Ice? Ninja! Ninja Ice! Ninja!
Go
Rap.
Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Shout out to the 90s? Late 80s? What is that?
I could probably do that whole dance, but I won't do it on stream. Anyways, it looks like Shot is going to get the kill on Vin as he dove in with a nice collapse behind that Legend and Trap Queen.
Oh my.
Looking to turn things around here for the side of Operative Esports, and they're making it happen. Flyest Raven, Kwanzar, they overestimated their situation, and this is...
All right, okay, hold on.
We got a game.
We got to put this into perspective. They didn't get the 6 cap. They only got 5 shots on that altar. They didn't get the camps at the bottom, put a stranglehold on that bottom bell tower. That is why I said it is so important. I wanted to see how that played out long term. And I'm telling you, from a macro perspective, not taking care of that bot lane, because I'm going to put this further into perspective. The last 2 altars were in the top, which means that your next altars will not be 2 at the top. You want to control that bottom lane. It could be 1 at the bottom. It could be the bottom 2. Just like this. Now all of a sudden, look at the control that Operative is going to have. Where do you come in if you're on the side of Numerics? Now all of a sudden, your point of entry is through the mid or through a very tight choke point there near your sapper camp. And just like that, this is exactly what I feared would happen. They couldn't put the chokehold on, and now they're going to be struggling here for not just one of these altars, Jake, but both of them. And there is a trap already set up for them.
They can't contest these 2. It's 10 damage on. So effectively, we're looking at 8 HP versus 10 HP. And I really don't think they have the opportunity to even consider doing anything. Ooh. Okay. Fazda was close, but no dice, and shot is their target. Li Ming will be enough for the kill, and that sets up a hero advantage. Bell tower control still sitting in the favor of Operative. This game is very, very, very close. What's the play?
They need to go up and okay, this is like one of those moments where I talk about so often, is that taking control of the bottom lane might be the better call. You're going to get 4 shots here, but unless you control those bell towers, it doesn't really mean anything. You don't secure the game. You don't secure anything but more shots, and it is very appealing. I wish I could just go into this for like an hour, Jake, but I'm telling you right now, having control over the bell towers is far more valuable than getting control over that. They'll have the sappers pushing top. They'll have the ability to clear those out. But right now, not having control of this bottom lane leaves them in a defensive position, and now they have to spend the next 30, 45 seconds clearing up sappers and a bell tower just to have control over the map, and they don't really achieve much elsewhere.
Blizzard value being shown there, at least, as they get themselves the free mid bell tower. Bottom still under their control. Top is going to have 3 shots threatening, and they are gonna get through. Everything looked pretty good in the play right there from Operative until that moment. Letting those through, I don't know if it was a mistiming from a Numerics or what, if someone said they had it, but now they're 1 altar from losing the game.
Everything that I'm like, if you do this, it's going to work out well, but we're going to do it different. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you got to take control of this. And we're at the end of the day, bell tower's going to be even. It's going to come down. Single altar. Instead of now, Jake, think about this. If they had not allowed 2 of those sappers through, now this is not a kill potential unless you give up a huge team fight. Now, you're Operative. You are playing for your lives today. Yes, it's double elimination, but this is the first series of the day. It shouldn't be like this.
It's definitely, I mean, it's the 4th and 5th seed, so it's definitely reasonable for them to be in that situation. Fazda steps in the front. Blizzard zones him in. Army that hasn't been used. This is the only altar once again on the map, and if it goes to the side of Numerics, the game is over, and then Operative is in the loser's bracket. Do or die time. We'll see if they can hold on.
Caesar Salad gets interrupted, but shot in a bad spot. Legend being chased down by Arthas on the backside. The Ancestral's already outshot.
Oh, that Gus
is alive for the moment, but he is poisoned. Li Ming is down. Caesar Salad going to be the next to fall, and all of a sudden we've got the ring out, and Numerics going to be down. The ring not used there. I'm really surprised they didn't try and get that blow up, because Army is already out. Instead, Jada face checks the bush. Jada gets the sound barrier, and all of a sudden, all hell is breaking loose. His 4 members are down. Ben, the last one surviving, and somehow Operative is still in this.
That was absolutely ridiculous. The close calls number, the counter was through the roof, because if that sound barrier wasn't there, Jaina died. If Jaina died, Arthas could have lived on for quite a while, most likely, through all of that. And here we are in a situation where 4 to 3 HP remain. 1 altar spells disaster. It's another 30 seconds before we have Arthas and Malthil back up. And what is the boss timer? 2 minutes. So that's at least one thing they don't have to worry about, and it takes 2 full sapper camps to make it through.
There's one. That one got
never
through.
mind. Yeah, never
now
mind.
They just need all 3. The thing is, you've got continuous wins. We'll keep. This game is blowing my mind. The way that it Deadly Ice on that those last few team fights, just kind of, I don't know.
They're afraid. They don't have eyes on yet. Actually, we saw Operative rotate up to the mid, but still did not show. They were just waiting to see if anyone would go through the portal and get a free kill as a result. Once they see that's not the case, they return to their stranglehold to do their best to escort these 3 sappers.
Do you VP them behind the wall?
That's something they got to be worried about.
Seconds. Do you think he's going to try it? Here it goes. Here it goes. This is all Deadly Ice. Do I get your VP, or do we get the continuous wins early? You cannot group up. The Blizzard zoning them out. Fazda, walking forward. The sapper camps, there it is.
Okay, all right. So they bought time with Gus, but VP is still available. And yes, they're getting very low. All right.
They're in the clear.
They're in the clear. That 1 sapper could get through. It wouldn't make a difference in most cases here. This game, man.
It's something. I like the fact that they're at least just holding the bot lane. Right now, they're holding the bot lane. They're doing it. This is why this is those moments where it's like if you control the bot lane, now all of a sudden you've got sapper pressure, you've got a tight choke. If you're on the side of Operative Esports and you are not just holding your ground right here,
okay.
it is mind-blowing.
Guess what? There are 3 sappers going this way, and there is a fight happening. If those sappers are not responded to, the game will end. The VP is there. The sappers are making their march, and Falstad is down. Only a few minions remain in their path in the finish line.
Oh! But the missed combo again. I mean, you're probably going to win the game. I take that back. Lucio goes down. 2 for 2.
Malfield defends the sappers, but Caesar Talent falls. Fazza. Oh, if he gets... Okay, Shot's looking for it. Fazza is chasing. Malfield's on his way. He's looking at Trap Queen, but he's got to get on the point. It's a 2v2 to end the game.
Shot is in so much trouble trying to get away. He's going to be rooted. The armor, he's going to get the shield from his
That's
trade.
it. Malfield connects. He's in.
That's game.
That's game. Oh, is it?
Trap Queen doing everything he can, and there is no way he survives here.
God. I was panicking with the obsing. It was all over the place, T-tours, because I didn't think they could live.
There is no way.
What? This is why I love Towers of Doom.
Oh, my. Well, that game's about as wild as my hair today.
I think my beard doubled in length during that game. Like, yeah, your hair
I had somebody else do my hair today. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I'm going with it.
Good. I'm proud of you, Jay Howe. He just let a random lady in the airplane do his hair while he was asleep. She's just like getting in there. Oh, I think it looks good like that.
It happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I woke up technically. I woke up at 5:15 Eastern time, which was 2:15 Pacific.
Feels bad, man.
I'm indulged on the coffee. A little bit of coffee plus that last game equals quite a bit of excitement. Jake making sure to get it in, but
delightful.
Delightful.
Oh,
man,
that's the start. That's the first match of Open Division. Flame is lame. Now Operative Esports already in the lower bracket. Hello?
That game happened. Okay, I want to just... That last fight, 3 people were caught in the VP. Ring was put out about the same time. It wasn't consecutive. If that lands...
Did Ring hit anyone? Or did it circle?
No.
Did it create a perfect circle?
It was in the VP. If they land that... So this is what I say sometimes, is that we've all played it before. We've all played the VP Ring combo. At some point in our careers, we're all like, look, let's try it. Back in the day, it used to be super meta. Then it kind of fell out. And then there was all kinds. I mean, we used to. I remember back in the day, you could couple it with Malfurion roots, all kinds of things, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is something I've played this many times in my career. But if you haven't played it recently, it probably looks a little bit like that. If any of those hit, especially that last one. I mean, the Ring was put out early. The VP was put out around the same. The VP still had time to be canceled. If that hits 3 people,
changes everything.
The Blizzard radius, it's something that I don't have. Have I ever seen that? I mean, it's either root or vulnerability.
I've seen it
root
in quick
or
match.
vulnerability.
It's definitely a different take. I like the idea of considering that for maybe being able to stall out if you feel like the enemy team has a lot more poke than you. But again, you're against a Li Ming and a Falstad, and you have a Zeratul. So oftentimes you kind of want to get in there and full combo, and then that target just dies. So I'm not 100% sure what the logic was. It wasn't the defining factor that lost them the game. Naturally, if the VP Ring combos hit, that probably would have changed the end result of the game.
Probably, Jake.
Yeah, definitely.
I understand we got to be sometimes nice, but this is one of those moments where I think the world of Operative Esports. I've loved Deadly Ice for a year and a half. I love watching his play. Yeah. He made his name on the Greymane so high that, and
they first picked it. Yeah.
They did, but he was on the Zeratul that game. Made some tremendous plays at times. That after they lost that fight and they came down and they retook the control of the game, and that bot lane kind of retook control of that. It was one of those things where I'm like, all right, well, they're back in the game. Deadly Ice helped get a couple kills. He had that rewind combo there at 20. I think he actually got one of those kills pre-20 at like 19.
Probably, yeah.
But it was one of those moments where I'm like, all right, they're turning around till the ice is here, but then it's just like the coordination was just, it felt off. It felt pretty off, and very rarely do you try and say, hey, you know, that just flat out looked pretty rough. That was one of those moments where you can't, there's no hiding it. It's there for the world to see that it missed numerous times, numerous people. You can't hide.
There's going to be a montage of it. It was so epic. Someone make that montage and link it to me, please. Yeah, definitely not the strongest start they're hoping for, but the brilliant part about this tournament is it's double elimination. We have a lower bracket in which they'll be falling down to, and we'll actually be having Team Numerics moving on to face the winner of Heroes Hearth and